Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. I guess we can say welcome to the, can I say locked in? Can I say...
Yes.
I can say locked in edition. Is that okay to say that? Of the No Shit Cast. Thanks for joining us on our journey into the Internet College of Infinite Knowledge. My co-host and remote guest. We got this all figured out finally. Yeah. Yes, that. Sitting in the co-pilot seat, none other than the great wizard of historical knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
I am doing well, Matt. How are you doing?
Hey, you look like you're doing well there, man.
After quite well, thank you.
Are you going crazy yet?
No.
No, not yet.
No, the world's just starting to feel a little bit more comfortable.
Is that right?
It makes
like
sense.
You're getting used to it more? Is that what you're saying, or?
Starting to align with how I feel inside.
Okay, I understand.
Safer, like, oh man, everything's fucked up. Everyone's fucked up. It's not me.
It's not just me.
I'm doing well, man.
In the engineering booth, backed by popular demand, our in-house Bond villain, Mr. Devlin. How are you tonight, Mr. Devlin?
Popular?
Yeah, man, you're popular. People like you. I can't fucking figure it out either. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I'm doing good.
But right before we went on to record tonight, Mr. Devlin was telling me that we're not allowed to mention the name of the big thing that's going on right now, because if we do, YouTube will demonetize us.
Yes.
So we're not allowed to discuss the event by name.
Right.
What
are you talking about? The 9 Inch Nails album that was just released, the double albums that they just released?
That's not the big event. No.
That was cool, man.
You know what's funny is a YouTube channel known as The Game Grumps, instead of calling it by the name that's happening, they were saying, like, the Backstreet Boys reunion concert. It's all being sold out all over the place, so don't go to the concert because you might get tickets for the concert and bring them home to your fan. Like, that's how they're doing it. It's really funny.
This is nuts. So what's the idea here? Is what, to try to cut down on some sort of disinformation or people capitalizing on what's going on?
I think so. I mean, I don't know.
But we discussed the news.
I think it's a bot that's going around taking down any YouTube video that has it in the title.
Oh, we can make that happen. We can just call it the event. So are we allowed to name it? Like, can we talk about it?
I think the bot also goes through the videos too.
What
like auto-generated? Yeah. I don't know, man, but it's happening, and I don't know the specifics.
Are the videos being taken down, or are they just being demonetized?
Demonetized, and they're demonetized forever.
But will it demonetize the channel?
Not the channel, no.
Because this is getting a little Orwellian too, man. I mean, what the fuck, YouTube?
Let's go for it, man. Let's get this demonetized.
Just say fuck this. I don't. Do we give a shit if this episode's monetized, Eric?
I said it as a warning because I don't know how you feel.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Be pure. Be free.
Live on the edge.
It's the apocalypse. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, we'll just call it the apocalypse. Anyway.
That works.
So, I thought that was really strange that this is... now, I know there's a shit ton of misinformation floating around on social media. Like, loads of this stuff floating around on social media.
Like, hold your breath for 10 seconds.
What's that do?
It proves that you're not going to get Backstreet Boy tickets, that you don't have them.
It's bullshit, right? Yeah,
it's like it's a urban myth.
Can you zoom in on that for me, Devlin? Devlin's pulling up a video here. It's in a news article, I have to say it. Quote, this is from The Verge. Everyone wants to talk about the novel. How is it, novel or novel?
Novel.
But But I still think you should say Backstreet Boy tickets because that's just fucking funny.
Okay. So everyone wants to talk about the Backstreet Boys outbreak right now, but you might you might hear YouTubers avoiding the subject. If they talk about it, they risk getting their ads shut off. Quote, for today's video, I won't be directly commenting on the recent health-related news because A, I am not a healthcare professional, and B, I don't need my video demonetized. Linus Sebastian, host of Linus Tech Tips,
says him.
Says at the beginning of a recent video about buying a new PC in this period. YouTube has demonetized videos about sensitive subjects in the past. The company's advertising guidelines state that sensitive topics, usually a recent event with a loss of life, typically as a result of pre-planned malicious attack, are normally not suitable for advertising. These videos are allowed to stay on the platform. They just can't make money from the YouTuber's built-in ad service.
Are we suitable?
I don't know if I give a shit about that. What's that?
Are we suitable for advertising?
Yeah, we have ads. We don't have a YouTube's
Suitable.
Yeah, I know, right? Are we suitable for advertising? But
I act like I don't watch the show.
I'm sorry?
I act like I don't watch the show.
Act like it? I know you don't watch the show.
Surprise to me, like, do we have advertising?
YouTube said that the coronavirus outbreak is now being considered a sensitive topic. Quote, as such, all videos focused on this topic will be demonetized until further notice. Tom Lung, producer officer at YouTube, said in a recent video, the policy exists to protect advertisers. I guess because the advertisers, the way this shit works, right, is they don't really get someone isn't sitting down with a list and listening to all of these different things that they could be advertising on to make sure that it's not some sort of bizarro, like, crazy hate group or something like that. And now Nabisco, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I get why they're doing it, I suppose. I guess I just don't care if they demonetize my video. I just don't want to, because I know they're real weird. They've been, shutting people's channels down and shit. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah,
so,
there's probably a lot of people that are really intense about what they're talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, probably not a passing topic or one of humor for a lot of people. They're probably intently talking about it and perhaps spreading disinformation and not doing it in a jovial sense.
Right.
So it probably started with that, but we're probably caught up in it.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, for sure. All right, so Devlin, we got a show question.
What was your first job?
I was raised on a farm. How do I answer that? Eric, what do you got?
Well, do you mean like
raised on farms?
Wasn't like because you were living someplace or it was your family, or you mean like first official job where you actually received your own paycheck?
Let's clarify it by saying one that you actually paid taxes on.
Okay, so yeah, like the first one you got a paycheck.
Yeah.
Mine would be Racks.
Oh, really?
That's funny. Yeah, mine's is it Arby's? It's Arby's?
Or Racks.
No, it's Bob Evans. I worked for a Bob Evans. Yeah, Arby's or Racks. Yeah, what's the difference?
Yeah, or Hardee's.
Or Hardee's, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's got horsey sauce, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
It's like they all have horsey sauce.
But yeah, it was Racks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, man. There was a girl there that really liked me at the time, and I went to take the trash out, and she followed me out into the trash, and my car was parked out there, right? And she's like, "Hey, is that your car?" I'm like, "Yeah." And like she jumps in the back of it. She opens the door and jumps in the back. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, come here." And I'm like, "Okay." So I get in and I shut the door, and she's like, I think we could have sex back here right now if we were really quick. And she didn't know that I had one of my really good friends who I had picked up, and he was sleeping in the front seat waiting for me to get off work, and then he was going to spend the night at my house. And as soon as she said that, dude, he bolted right up. He's like, "What?" He got out that third side door and like back inside. And he's like, "Dude, if you want me to leave, I will." I'm like, "No, dude, I don't know."
I don't know what she's doing.
And then like a couple of days later, I think I was not even working at that job. I was like working at a hardware store in Tarleton.
Is that right? Oh, this is in Texas then.
Yeah, it was in Tarleton,
Ohio. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I thought that. How about you, Mr. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Second oldest city in Ohio.
Is that right? Yay.
Yeah, Marietta, Tarleton. It lies along Zane's Trace, which is why it holds that distinction.
Hey, Devlin, what about you? First job?
I worked at a Subway and I hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
What's that?
Why?
Why? Well,
why?
You know, I bet if you put headphones on, that'll stop happening. If you can do that, if you can find some headphones, because what's happening is he's talking and it's not coming through, and we're not hearing it. But I think it's because the shit that's shutting the microphone down is like clamping down on his end, so we're losing like what you're saying. Anyway, Mr. Devlin.
Yes.
What's our? We got some articles lined up tonight. What's our first article while Eric's sorting out his mess?
Okay, 1 second. We have. Will I read this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Engineer accused of crashing train said he was suspicious of nearby coronavirus relief ship. Justice Department says. This is from CNN.com.
Okay, so this is an engineer, not like electrical engineer. We're talking about woo-woo, choo-choo train engineer. Crashed a train into a nearby coronavirus relief, or was trying to crash a train into a nearby corona relief ship. Train engineer faces federal charges after he allegedly admitted to intentionally derailing a train Tuesday near the USNS Mercy, United States naval ship, Mercy, a ship sent to Los Angeles to ease the burden of hospitals treating coronavirus patients, according to the Department of Justice. He tried to wreck a train into a ship.
I don't know long headphones, but yeah, that's a bad plan. That sounds like a bad plan. That's like trying to go spelunking with a hang glider.
Like there's two things that don't line up here. I mean, unless that ship happens to be going under a train bridge at the time or something like that. I don't know how you
know what we need to attack that water vessel?
A train, obviously.
Yeah. A land vessel, yeah.
Eduardo Marino, 44, told law enforcement investigators he was suspicious of the ship and believed it, quote, had an alternate purpose related to the COVID-19 or a government takeover. The Justice Department said in a news release citing the affidavit. Well,
yeah, it does happen occasionally.
That
people think that.
Oh, yeah, it certainly does. But Marino has been charged with one count of train wrecking, the Justice Department said. That there's a crime. The Federal Public Defender's Office in Los Angeles, which is representing Marino, declined to comment on the case. Okay.
What do you say that sounds important on a case like that? Dude, it's a train wreck. Train wreck. Like, there's nothing real good to say, right? Like, what was the deal? Was the tracks, like, at least semi-close to the ship?
It has to be, or something. But I'm looking at the picture of it here, and it just looks like a wrecked train, like in a big concrete parking lot.
Ships or anything.
According to the Justice Department, Marino, a train engineer of the Port of Los Angeles. Okay, so he was a train engineer in the Port of Los Angeles.
Okay.
So he that makes sense. He crashed a train near the end of the tracks, running through barriers before it came to a rest more than 250 yards from the ship. No one was injured. The news release said, and the ship was not damaged.
Yeah. See, bad plan.
He fucking missed.
Damage, bad plan.
Bad plan. That's.
You know what we need to kill that ship? What? A train?
A locomotive.
That will be some serious damage to the side of that ship, which is suspicious.
Suspicious ship, yeah.
I mean,
it says
when I walk by ships, I'm like weirded out too, man.
Yeah, they give me the fucking heebie-jeebies, especially the ones that are all brightly white with a big red cross on the side of them. Ugh.
Yeah, those are obviously hiding something.
I know, right? That's too convenient. The crash was witnessed by a California Highway Patrol officer who took Marino into custody as he tried to flee the scene.
Wait.
The news release added.
I wish I could see the dude's face. Can you imagine that dude just sitting there on a normal day, and all of a sudden a goddamn train just goes by, and you're like, then some guy gets out and starts running away, and you stop him and arrest him, and all of a sudden, this. Center of all this attention. Like, look, man, I was just sitting eating a fucking cupcake,
drinking a coffee, and a fucking...
Man, trying to wake up. I didn't even think I fucking seen that train go by.
Was that for real?
Yeah, stroke or something, man. But it was a fucking train. And that dude went out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, stop that dude. Because he must know what's going on, right? And it's weird, right? Because there's nothing being pulled by it. It's just a wreck and a guy fleeing. It's like,
Did that just fucking happen? Right? Like, cause, effect.
You would never suspect he was after a boat.
Right, yeah, what are you doing? And then he spills the beans. He could have, right, because he could have just said what? He could have said, hey, man, mechanical failure, it got away from me.
Anything would have been more plausible than whatever he told you.
Than what he says here. According, not the brightest people to begin with, to think that they would come up with some sort of cover story,
Engineers are very pragmatic.
I guess. Train go forward, train go backwards. It's a wicked oversimplification. So anyway, and I apologize to people who aren't crazy and drive trains. According to, what's that?
To everyone that didn't attack a boat. Train, apologize.
According to the affidavit obtained by CNN, Marino confessed to crashing the train in interviews with both the Los Angeles Port Police and the FBI. Marino said he derailed the train because it would bring media attention, the affidavit said, and he hoped to, quote, wake people up. You just ain't woke, Eric. That's all it is. Mr. Devlin, you're not woke.
Yeah, that's funny because that guy that seen that train go by probably thought it was a dream. It's like the reverse effect.
Right.
This makes me think I'm dreaming, not question awake.
Oh, the affidavit also detailed videos taken from inside the train. Oh, cool. We're going to get videos of this shit.
Good. That's good.
Marino. Oh, God. Marino ignites a road flare inside the train. The affidavit. Yeah. He goes fucking full road warrior. He then put the train in full speed and held his hand toward the camera with his middle finger raised.
Oh, God. Dude, again, imagine the cop looking at this, right? A guy with a flare flipping off a camera, just driving by like hits the halt and then running away. Like, what just happened, man? Like, that would make me question reality for sure.
Oh, my God. Oh, my face hurts. Oh. I don't know. Sometimes this is a quote. I don't know. Sometimes you just get a little snap, and man, it was freaking exciting. I just had it and I was committed. No, you need to be fucking committed. Marino told police, according to the affidavit, quote, I just went for it. I had one chance. And you missed by a lot. Like,
yeah, man, this is like you're in quarantine and people are like, there's got somewhere, at some point in time, there had to be either in his head or with another person this conversation, right? Like,
right.
You know, they're bored, they're at lockdown, and it's like, you know what? I have access to a train.
Yeah, I got a train.
Players are in there. I'm thinking that some shit needs to be done, and people need to know that shit's fucked up. I've got an idea.
Oh, God. Oh. You think how committed he was to this?
Yeah.
the finger and the flare. And then he comes up, what was it, 200 yards or something short? It was like a lot. Did they say? I thought they said in the article how far, 250 yards away from the ship.
Dude, if he would have hit that train, he would have probably been the only one that died.
I'm sorry? If he hit the ship?
Ship, yeah, if he hit the ship.
The boat would have went boom. The train
killed something. He's like flipping a camera off with a flare, like dude, holding on to anything.
He was so fucking committed to this, right? This is why he can't get out and just say, "Oops, it was an accident." He thought he comes up 2.5 football fields short. So there was a miscalculation of physics here and of epic proportions to begin with, right?
Yeah.
But the reason he couldn't was because he was so committed to this thing. He was doing the flaming finger of God at the camera. Screaming, right?
Yeah.
And then, so.
What do you think he suspected when he was successful? Like, what was the actual plan? Was it, I will put a hole in the ship, I will survive, and I will see what's inside? Like it
was to woke people up, bro.
Yeah, but he said it was suspicious, like something was going on.
Well, I bet it was because it had a big old crosshair on the side of it, and he just couldn't resist and had to take that train.
They were breeding spider monkeys inside or whatever, and if you knocked a hole in it, the spider monkeys would come out or whatever,
Yeah.
He was trying to wake up everybody to realize that it's not what they're telling you. Something else is going on.
Right. Okay.
Right? So what can you imagine in his mind if he was successful? What in his mind scenario plays out? Like, does he find out the hidden secret and reveal it to the world and become a hero?
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah. Like, is that like if he's successful, what is the payoff for him? That he figures out the hidden truth or the suspicion?
I guess notoriety.
And the whole world knows.
Yeah. Fame or infamy, one of the two.
Well, he could have got notoriety without being suspicious about the ship. He could have just done the deed and got notoriety. But the impetus for the deed was that he was suspicious of that ship. Something was going on. He needed to reveal it to the world.
Okay.
What did he expect if he was successful would happen? Like, he would put a hole in the side and whatever evil shit was going on in there would come out and everybody would know and he'd be a hero.
Yeah, man. I mean, I would say that there is layers of lack of any kind of critical consideration in this story.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you start?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, okay, so everybody, what was the date on this? April 2nd. So that happened. Yay.
I hope I had a plan B too. I hope we discover a plan B.
That he had a plan B?
Yeah.
Well, if this half-baked fucking mess was plan A, I'd hate to see what plan B was. God. All right, Mr. Devlin, what do we got up next, sir?
Okay. This comes from Mashable.com. If I can scroll up. Pornhub Premium is now free for everyone to encourage you to stay home.
Ooh, this is definitely a no shit cast article.
What is it that's free?
It says that Pornhub Premium is now free for everyone to encourage you to stay home.
What's the actual difference between Pornhub and Pornhub Premium?
I have no idea.
I think it's being ad free, and you also get certain perks.
Porn has ads?
Like if you watch a video enough times, the people come to your door or something? Like, what kind of perks do they offer?
Well, I wonder what kind of ads. I mean, do you run like, dish soap ads during porn videos? Like, what kind of?
Not be marketable because we might do the wrong thing. What do they do it?
How do what?
Anyway.
No, man, I keep cutting you off.
No. I was saying we were talking earlier about us being, might say the wrong thing, right? And we would no longer get monetized.
Okay, yeah.
what kind of monetization are they getting being Pornhub? Maybe we need some of that, because I think those people might be okay with it.
So the Google box says Pornhub Premium normally costs $9.99 a month or $95.88 a year, and mainly offers you access to adult videos in HD quality without ads. So there's ads.
Okay.
Now you can use it for free by visiting Pornhub's new Stay Home Hub website. Okay. So anyway, where's our article at? It says adult content site Pornhub knows we are all social distancing, so they've decided to hook everyone up with free Pornhub Premium to make our isolation just a little bit easier. Starting March 24th, users can sign up at the site's special, quote, stay home landing page to enjoy premium for the next month. Quote, with nearly 1 billion people in lockdown across the world because of the coronavirus pandemic, it's important that we lend a hand,
so to speak,
and provide them with an enjoyable way to pass the time.
Stranded all alone at the gas station of love, and you got to use the self-service pump.
That's it, man. Sometimes.
Well, hey, Curiosity Stream was offering a whole year for $12.99.
It's kind of like porn for nerds, in a sense. We hope by expanding our offer of free Pornhub Premium worldwide, people have an extra incentive to stay home and flatten the curve. They're going to flatten something.
Yep. Well, and as we discussed earlier, it makes you more healthy.
All right, because it does like serotonin levels and all that kind of stuff too.
Yep. Yep.
It's definitely an antidepressant. I'll say that.
Yeah, and it should bring you good luck if the Romans are correct.
Well, what do the Romans say about pandemics and stay-at-home self-love?
Well, if a phallus is involved, it's definitely going to bring fortune and good luck.
Oh, here we go with the flying penises again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was the two articles that we did back to back. That made you healthy and it brought you good luck and warded off the evil spirits. It was a type of apotropasm sort of magic.
That's all people need, or just phalluses?
No matter if it's 10,000 BC or 2020, it's useful.
That's all I'm saying.
Human condition, eternal. There ain't many things that change throughout history that's like, those special things like buckets.
Buckets?
Yeah, from 5,000 BC to 2020, it's
still a bucket. A bucket's a bucket, yeah.
Toothbrush.
Really?
Though every week there's a new toothbrush ad that some new improvement has been made. Essentially, they're the same thing since ancient times.
That's right. This kind of is what. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right. Yeah, some things are eternal like that.
But that's I say that, but that's a euphemism that stifles innovation.
Inobsolete.
Yeah, it still works, but there might be better ways of doing it.
But the word inobsolete makes you think that it would never become obsolete.
Right. Someday it will.
A bucket?
A bucket. Yeah, some things are just purpose-built, best they can ever be.
It is, as long as we have corporeal bodies, we can use buckets.
It was probably one of the first innovations that revolutionized humanity, was the ability to store and carry water.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think? I mean, even if you were just trying to move across land to hunt, your hunting radius is increased dramatically if you can store and carry water, right?
Yeah, Aborigine people in ancient times used to put them in gourds, and they would walk as far as they could and bury them, and then come back and then use a little bit of water. They would eventually establish a trade route of little things with caches of water, and as long as they could take just a drink out of each one. So imagine you have two gourds, right? You need one to get to the spot to come there and back, and you put a whole gourd there, right? Then you use that again, drink just a little bit of that, go a little bit further, put another one in that you brought with you, and you keep extending that out. And eventually you take just a little drink from each time and you can get the whole way and back. They used to do that. So yeah, a great invention.
That's on trade routes basically. With supply stops along the way, pretty much evolved the same way, just with things like grain and for animals to eat and water troughs, and like there was. Mm-hmm.
In the first century, the Romans had such good roads that every so often they had little way stations like that where you could stop and use the bathroom and get your horse a little bit of hay or just have a place to tie him off for a while, at the very least. And a lot of times places would grow up around those places that would service the people who would be coming along the way in some fashion, service them their horses or for food or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so back to free porn.
Yes.
Devlin. Besides doling out free porn, the site is also helping out performers who have been hurt by the economic impacts of coronavirus pandemic. For the month of April, Pornhub will offer them 100% of their video sales after a processing fee of 15%. The total payout on both Pornhub and the clip site Model Hub will be 85%. So there you go. I guess is Pornhub is Pornhub being nice or what?
Yeah, they are.
Or is this? I think this is. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say all those actors that they said that were out of work that they're giving that full money to must have not have been those same actors that cashed in on that Backstreet Boy ticket rush.
No, right? Yeah, those poor actors. Yeah.
Thank you, Game Grumps, for that amazing.
The Backstreet Boys. Additionally, Pornhub is donating $25,000 to the Sex Workers Outreach Project. They're contributing directly to relief funds for those impacted by the Backstreet Boys. Poor Backstreet Boys. Pornhub is also helping out those outside the sex work industry. They're donating 15,000 surgical masks for first responders of Local 2507, which represents EMTs and paramedic members of the FDNY. Why does Pornhub have 15,000 surgical masks?
Yeah, presumably they mean paying for, as in donating.
Oh, okay.
Presumably. Otherwise, my question is your question. Why do they have these masks?
Right. What do they know that we don't know? Quote, we very much appreciate. Okay, blah, 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 blah. All right, so Pornhub's free. All right, Mr. Devlin, what we got up next?
We have SingularityHub.com says how a machine that can make anything would change everything.
Oh, this one's for Eric. I saw this one, Eric, and I thought of you.
Aw.
Quote, something's going to happen in the next 40 years that will change things, probably more than anything since we left the caves, quote by James Burke. James Burke has a vision for the future. He believes that by the middle of this century, perhaps as early as 2042, our world will be defined by a new device, the nanofabricator. Sounds like a replicator to me.
Yes.
These tiny factories will be large at first, like early computers, but soon enough you'll be able to buy one that can fit on a desk. You'll pour in some raw materials, perhaps water, air, dirt, and a few powders of rare elements if required, and the nanofabricator will go to work. Powered by flexible photovoltaic panels that coat your house, it will tear apart the molecules of the raw materials, manipulating them on the atomic level to create anything you like. Food, a new laptop, a copy of Kate Bush's debut album, The Kick Inside. Anything providing you can give it both the raw materials and the blueprint for creation. So go ahead.
I would like to point out that if it manipulates things on the atomic level, it would have a need for any rare elements.
It would never have a need for any rare elements?
No, because it would be able to make them on the atomic level.
Okay, I see what you're saying, right. So what would it need?
Anything. You could put anything into it. If it could rearrange the actual atoms of what you put into it,
okay,
it would matter what you put into it, it could make, you could literally turn lead into gold.
We talked about this one time, right? Because it would so radically change how we do everything. Like there would be you would never own clothing ever again.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. If your house would be very Spartan, because you wouldn't need anything. If you wouldn't have dishes stored in your cupboards, right? Because you would replicate dishes along with the food on them. You would eat the food. You'd put the dishes back in the replicator. They would unreplicate. They would come apart at the atomic level and be stored,
right,
waiting to reform into something else, whatever you need. Perhaps after dinner, you're going to go to a friend's house and it's cold outside. So you replicate a coat. When you go over, you throw it in his replicator and it dereses, and you don't have the coat hanging around. Like, think of music when everybody had to have like LPs, 8 tracks, or cassettes. And eventually one day, nobody needed any medium. They could stream stuff from wireless stuff, and you no longer carry any musical medium, right?
Right.
You decide what you want to hear and stream it. It would be the same thing with all material objects. Every material object, clothes, food, whatever it is. The only thing that would actually hold any importance would be something that had been in your family for a long time, like an heirloom, or something that held some special meaning because it went through some thing with you and it meant something to you, right? So your house might have an area, or if you lived a full life, everything in your house would have some story or meaning and would be unique in some way.
Okay.
And if it doesn't, you wouldn't need it.
But you could, okay, so it can de-replicate something, right? So my guess is that it can like, if it can deconstruct something, once it deconstructs it could just put it back together. So I'm making that assumption, okay?
Yes.
But if that were the case, you would want your family heirlooms and everything deconstructed into a backed up medium so you could retrieve them at any time. They could never burn up that way. They could never disappear ever.
No, because in a society that you've had for generations where this is the way of life, where things are transient.
Okay.
There's no money. There's no need to strive for anything. Like, you could totally just fuck off all the time and still have anything you wanted, or you commit yourself to doing something that you love and enjoy. Right? Either way, it wouldn't matter. As long as you had the energy to power these devices, right? So there is that. You might pay something.
Well, this guy's saying it's just going to be the solar panels on the outside of your house.
Yeah, it could be, right? If you're not, then it doesn't matter. And you could replicate the solar panels. At any rate, you wouldn't have to do anything. But in a society where everything was transient, the only thing that would really hold any meaning is something that you would never want to de-res. It is what it is. You could make an exact copy of it. You would never have to de-res it. You could also make an exact copy, and if you de-res it and bring it back, there's no real distinguishing between that and an exact copy.
Correct.
As long as you can hold it in your hand, it's real. But once you de-res it, it's kind of like you've lost it, because the only thing that's making you feel that way is the connection to its existence. If you make it unexist and re-exist, it loses that ephemeral connection.
Okay.
At least that's the way the idea goes.
Okay.
Right? Like because you would constantly be able, like, if I had a signed autographed guitar of a famous person and I got it because I seen him in concert and I met him personally, I would de-res that. You could go to your home and you could create something that looked exactly like it and would be exactly like it on a molecular level, right?
Right.
There isn't any distinguishing at all or arguing that scientifically. The only thing that makes the distinguishing is that I got mine, the guy actually signed mine.
Right.
You have an exact copy of it. So if I don't de-res that holds true. If I de-res it and bring it back, that's no different than what you just did.
So artifacts, items, I guess I should say, only hold special meaning because they have some sort of human connection, physical human connection.
Yeah, and if you de-res it, it loses that.
It loses that connection somehow.
Yeah, because it's no different than you going home and replicating that signed guitar, right? Like the only thing that made mine different was that it really was there. If I
I
derez it and
see.
copy of it,
It's just a copy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it would be neat though, because then anybody could handle like artifact. Like if you did this with artifacts, you wouldn't have to ever worry about handling artifacts with your hands.
Yeah.
Or because then now they wear special gloves and all these kind of things. But you could take items like that and make it so that you could just create it. You could do whatever you wanted to it, and then derez it. It just goes back into the. Say again.
Museums would love it.
Yeah, exactly. I could see all kinds of. But yeah, it would have like a really ridiculous effect on. I don't know. Would it, or would people? I think what you're saying is it wouldn't be that people would have less stuff. It would be that they would have less stuff around them all the time.
Yes,
because there'd be
and less meaningless stuff.
Yeah, that just sort of sets around because you might need it in 6 months. That wouldn't do that anymore. It would be.
Yeah.
So then you would pay like everything that you use in life would just be like service. Like, okay, so like your platinum level would mean you could res, I don't know, a solid gold toilet or so. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I went there, but you know what I mean? Like you could just go into a menu and go, I don't know, I want this level of steak and lobster tonight. And then, but if you did, it would all be like, I think it would all become like weirdly service based.
Well, that's another interesting facet there. Like if you're not paying for the energy, then there's really no service, right? As long as you have one machine, just one of these machines, if you can get one of those, you can replicate another one. You can replicate the solar panels that
right.
power. Like you only need one. Somebody could even give you one. Right? If you didn't have one, if you just showed up on the planet and you'd never heard of this shit, I'd be like, hold on a minute, man. Let me just replicate one of these for you. Now you go off and go nuts with this shit.
Yeah, have a ball. What you got, Devlin?
Replicate a replicator.
That's what he's saying.
Oh.
He could say if you had one of these machines, you could use it to create another machine.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
And the solar panels to power it.
Yeah.
And like I could give it to you, and you wouldn't have to know even how to use the machine, but you could take it, you could go off, and you could create your own kingdom.
Totally.
However you wanted it to be.
If you had enough space.
Yeah.
It's like one step before like a holodeck. It's a real life, but it's still generated. It's just generated into realities, things you can touch. The next step removed from that is just a holodeck, right? You just go in and it just
Yeah.
Your entire environment is created and artificial or artificial.
And another distinction is that the recipes you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a commodity, and that might be a commodity, a bartering kind of commodity, right? Of someone doing a service for you. If you could have anything you want, you would still need people sometimes to perform a service for you, right? You may not be able to clean your gutters. You can have anything you want, but you can't take the leaves out of your gutters. You're too old. You got to find somebody that will climb up there and pull that shit out, right? So
you replicate the drone that goes up on or the robot that goes up your gutter, cleans all your spouts out, and then you res it when you're done.
If you have that technology. If you don't, you need service. Or if you want a person to do it, not a robot. If you want, who knows what level that is, right? But assuming at some point in time you need a personal person to do something.
Right.
Like you could barter for that with things like recipes. If a default setting for chocolate chip cookies on all of these machines and the machines that they replicate is the same set of fucking cookies. In a world like that, where you only get one version of whatever, you can have anything you want, but you only get one version of it.
Right.
As a really kick-ass home recipe that they made from scratch, even if they replicated the sugar and the chocolate chips,
right,
and baked it themselves, would have a lot more tangible meaning in that world.
but I would think,
and barter it for, like, hey, do me a favor, brownie points.
so in this world, the only thing other than what you were talking about, like things that have a personal sentimental value, the only things of value is going to be intellectual property. It's going to be the people that make the recipes. So everybody will be selling their IP.
And another way of looking at that is like saying it reduces the playing field to a situation where the only thing that really matters is good ideas.
Yes. Yeah.
Think about it. You can do it. So what becomes important is how clever are you? Are you more entertaining and clever than the last guy that made a podcasting show?
Right.
Because that's what matters, because anybody can do it, whatever it is.
It'd be like, so I've followed like Formula One racing on and off for years, right? And so recently Netflix has had has a new special out called like F1 Drive to Live or Drive for Life or something like that. It's pretty good, but you start to like, so in a case like this would be like telling every Formula One race car team, you all have to use the exact same 3D printer, and you have to use that 3D printer to make all of the parts for your cars. However, we're not going to tell you
what kind of car you build.
All we're going to say is it can't weigh more than this, and it can't, and it has to have these certain safety features in it, but everybody else go hog wild and let's see what happens, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And you living your life like that would just be a microcosm of your life. You would be living whatever life you want it to live without any consideration of society or pressure or anything.
Yeah, because what would you want? No one would want. Well, I don't know. I'm sitting here going, access to these things may be ridiculously expensive for a long, long time, right? I mean, this guy's saying like middle of this century, so we got like another 30 years here, Bubba, and I don't see anything on the horizon. Of course, I never say never, right?
They have done work on it. The first thing they did was they arranged 3 atoms in a triangle, and then they made the world's smallest logo out of atoms by moving atoms around. They spelled out IBM, and then they made the world's smallest bicycle that's functioning on a molecular level. So they are working on the technology to be moving individual atoms around, except, that was the most experimental, costly, unsure what we're doing, expensive. We don't even have the right machines to do it, and we did this, right? Now they're at the point where they can design the type of machines that would need to be done to do this, but someone still has to design those machines, power them, pay for it. Like, it's at the infancy, but if you follow it, it's another way of saying is when you say that even if a person in another galaxy living in another planet, an alien life form, they would discover the atomic bomb.
Eventually, right. You would think, right.
Right, because they're working with the same shit that we're working with, and they're going to find out the same things that we find out. And they're going to face the same challenges that we did.
Okay.
Right? It's the same thing with this. There's an analogous thing there, I think.
Yeah. The article says it sounds like science fiction, although with the advent of 3D printers in recent years, less so than it used to. Burke, who hosted the BBC shows Tomorrow World, which introduced bemused and excited audiences to all kinds of technologies, has a decades-long track record of technological predictions. He isn't alone in envisioning a nanofactory as the technology that will change the world forever. Eric Drexler, thought by many to be the father of nanotechnology, wrote in the 1990s about a molecular assembler, hypothetical machines capable of manipulating matter and constructing molecules on the nano level with scales of a billionth of a meter. Richard Feynman, the famous inspirational physicist and bongo-playing eccentric, gave right? Says, gave the lecture that inspired Drexler as early as 1959. Feynman's talk, quote, plenty of room at the bottom, speculated about a world where moving individual atoms would be possible. While this is considered more difficult than molecular manufacturing, which seeks to manipulate slightly bigger chunks of matter, to date, no one has been able to demonstrate that such machines violate the laws of physics.
I speculated about the future where we manipulate molecular matter.
Yeah. Did you?
I did. I have. We are.
In recent years, progress has been made towards this goal. It may well be that we make faster progress by mimicking the processes of biology, where individual cells optimized by billions of years of evolution routinely manipulate chemicals and molecules to keep us alive. If nanofabricators are ever built, the systems and structures of the world as we know them, were built to solve a problem that will no longer exist. That's the truth. But the dream of the nanofabricator is not yet dead. What is perhaps even more astonishing than the idea of having such a device, something that could create anything you want, is the potential consequences it could have for society. Suddenly, all you need is light and raw materials. Starvation ceases to be a problem. After all, what is food? Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur. Nothing. What's that?
That's right.
Nothing you won't find with some dirt, some air, maybe a little biomass thrown in for efficiency's sake.
Isn't it nice to know that the only real difference between you and the chair you sit in is the way the atoms are arranged?
Yeah, the way shit's stacked together. But see, okay, so I think there's a fundamental flaw in this assumption, however. It's like saying that well, if we could desalinate water, there would never be droughts or famines and stuff from droughts. Well, we can desalinate water. We already.
Yep. He's saying you could just create water.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is just having a tool, just having the solution for the problem, does not necessarily mean that you've eliminated the problem in any way.
Right. No, that's true.
Right. So I think that's a little presumptuous.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you got to speculate far into the future where it becomes less presumptuous.
It's a fascinating topic, man, to sit and just do that fucking sort of mind fuck thing where you think about like what would this actually be like if you like how would this work?
And in doing so, we make the biggest presumption in the idea that we're saying the machine can copy the machine. We say that like you could make a copy in an hour and give it away, right?
Right, yeah. A
lot more involved in such an endeavor, right? But theoretically and in the future, it might become that easy. There's a series of books by Michael Moorcock called Dancers at the End of Time that begins with a book called An Alien Heat. And it's the premise of it is that there's only about 20 people left, and they all live at what is called the end of time. And they have the ability, they have like a replicator-like ability, but they can do it at will. And like, for instance, they can make the replicator look like anything they want. And a lot of them wear it as jewelry and stuff, right?
Okay.
Essentially, they can do anything. They can travel in time. They can kill themselves and be reborn. They can change their form, corporeal or not. They can do anything. They can create anything or do anything. And they all have this ability. They can kill each other, but then that person could bring themselves back to life. You could spend a long time killing each other and bringing each other back to life. They can do anything, right?
Okay.
And the only thing that matters in their society is how entertaining anyone does anything. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but if you can do it in a way that's never been done before, then you're doing something important or special. Because everything's been fucking done, right?
Okay.
Up with a son and a mother making love on a red beach with a son, and the mother is an iron orchid and the son is a gorilla. and afterwards they get into a locomotive and fly off into the sunset.
Right.
And things have just gotten that fucking bad. Like everything else has been done. Like this shit's the only thing that has any meaning because it just hasn't been done, right? And the whole idea of the book is this guy gets this idea to go back to 17th century Victorian England where manners and ethics are everything. And he brings this woman, Amanda Underwood, back to his time, and she teaches him what the point and meaning is of having structure and ethics and why it makes a difference in your life. It's a really interesting book based upon what happens when this unlimited energy and power actually goes viral and everyone has access to it. You know, what does that mean? In a large sense, all meaning becomes lost. You lose an anchor of reference.
It's crazy, yeah. It would be a huge game changer to have that capability.
Yeah. Other than philosophical anchors.
Have you had the chance to watch Altered Carbon yet?
No, but it is on my list.
Season 2. I think I'm going to try to pretend it doesn't exist.
Have you watched it?
I did. I binged out. I mean, look, it's got Anthony Mack. What's his name, Devlin? Anthony Mackie?
Yes, Anthony Mackie.
Who was one of the Avengers. Which one is he?
Falcon.
Falcon. Okay. And I don't blame Anthony Mackie for season 2 of Altered Carbon. I blame the writers because the story is not good, not near as interesting and what I mean, I just didn't like it. Now I understand that these are this is a book series, like a graphic novel or something like this. Is how this is what this comes from, or something to that effect. So maybe it's the second book, but if it's not, then this thing was a turd. Like I compared to. And I know, like, this isn't like Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, you know, or it just gets better or whatever. This thing was like, am I even watching the same fucking show anymore? Like it was like did you ever watch Eureka?
No.
Season 1, season 2 of Eureka are like two different fucking shows too. It's like, what happened? What did you guys do? It's like the show became successful. So then then I don't know, somebody somehow starts paying attention to it. They come in, they corporatize and do all their fucking focus group bullshit to it, and then the edge and the grittiness and everything that you loved about it is just gone. Like, ugh. That's what it feels like. Anyway, that, you know, with the ability to re-sleeve, like, they don't have replicators. What they have the ability to do is to, like, upload their consciousness into any organic body, either born somebody else or one that's created and, like, grown in a lab. And just that ability, when you sort of just pluck that string and see how that would ring through humanity, is what Altered Carbon's about. And it's like, it would have huge ramifications. I can't even imagine something like a replicator.
Well, one of the things that they talk about in that situation when you can upload yourself in a different body, is the idea of travel and forking. Like when you travel, you tend to rent a body somewhere else, like maybe just a crappy robot body or whatever, to get the job done, and you have your conscience transferred to that, and then you activate in that and do whatever you do, right?
Okay.
You're gonna pick your body for what you need to get done. And if it's just deliver a message or something, it doesn't even matter what it is. And if somebody kills you, it doesn't matter. Like it's a real expendable situation because you're just going to come back. And they're going to inform you this is what happened.
Yeah.
All right. So, but that also implies that you don't have to have your body left, like you're astrally projecting. It can also be that you've just put your conscious in another body, and now there's two bodies with your conscious in it. They can or may not look alike. Some of your consciousness may be in three different robots, for instance, that might go and clean an area that's irradiated that humans can't go into
at the same time.
Yeah, and then you might have 5 more of your consciousness in another body, human bodies, that are doing other functions and stuff on whatever you're doing. Like, you could fork your consciousness out as many times as you could afford bodies to put it in. The only determination being, do you have enough bodies to put it into? and I've read stories where there's like space stations that are comprised of one dude that's forked his conscience that many times over time. Like, he just keeps getting bodies, and every time he gets one, he puts his consciousness in it.
Yeah, man, that's a brain bender. That's a brain, and in that show Alter Carbon too, there were people that sort of split their consciousness, or would take one consciousness and would split it, that one time. Not split, duplicate. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Duplicate. Why am I saying that? It's all really good shit, man. Interesting stuff. But all right, we're trying to keep this closer to an hour now. So we just passed the hour mark, man. Yeah. But let me get this edited. We'll get it put together, put it out. If this works out, man, then we'll be able to do more of these, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel good about that?
Sure.
Yeah. So we'll keep working on this, see how this turns out. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. That's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We'd really appreciate it. And leave us a comment. We love the feedback. We will catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye, circles.